Greetings. In today's lesson, which is asynchronous, we're going to learn about two-way selection using the if and the else statement. The if and else statement will allow us to take two paths. If a condition is true, we'll go down one path. If a condition is not true or false, we'll go down a second path. It's kind of like an either or. And then at the end of the lesson, you're going to have a fun animal selection game from our CS Awesome text. And you're going to create a decision tree, or a binary tree, a binary search tree it's actually going to be, where you're going to use just if or else statements to make guesses, and then you're going to add animals to those guesses in order for the computer to make a guess at which animal you might be thinking of. So, cool lesson. First, the syntax of an if-else, which is very similar. No, it's exactly the same as you did in JavaScript. You set up if, you put in a Boolean condition, some situation, some condition that will evaluate either to true or false, and then you create a block of code where you can run the code if it's true. But now we're adding something new. After we end block, we're adding the word else, and then we're opening up a new block. In this setup, the if-else setup, we are setting up where one condition will run or the else condition will run. One or the other will happen, not both. Just so you know, in the next lesson on Thursday, we are going to be adding a condition called else if, where we can have infinite possibilities because we can have infinite else ifs. And you can set up all kinds of multiple branches. But today we're setting up the either or situation with the if and else. Today I'm going to let you watch a video that was created by a friend of mine, Jill. She did just an awesome job explaining. So we're going to watch that video, and I'm just going to embed it right here in the lesson.
Welcome back to AP Daily. In today's topic 3.3, we're looking at if-else statements, going one step farther than we went in topic 3.2 with the if. We're looking still at the branching of logical processes. This time we're going to have a two-way branch with a true or false condition, as we have both the if side or the else condition. So here's my illustration that I hope will trigger you mentally as you begin to write code. You can kind of think of things as a diagram. Could be false on the left and true on the right. It doesn't matter at all. I just happen to set it up in this format with true and false. So the condition will be the same as it might have been in the previous topic, 3.1. We have this condition, if my age is greater than Jill's age. Except that in this particular condition, we have something that's going to happen if it is found to be true, and a different else thing that's going to happen if the condition is found to be false. So let's look at this in program code. So I use a tweak on the same scenario. Age is still 16, and it's going to print out what the age is. And if the age is greater than or equal to 16, it will print, you can learn to drive a car. Maybe you can drive a car at 16 where you live. Else, it's going to say you're not old enough to drive a car. But is that actually the right statement? Probably not. You might be old enough to drive a car. You just may not drive a car yet. I did want to point out one thing while I'm on this slide before I begin to point certain things out about it. If the program statement that an if or else, particularly an if, is going to execute is only one instruction, like you see in this slide, I would not technically have to have the brackets. Java wouldn't require that. I typically, me personally, I put the brackets anyway because usually we have a sequence of things that is happening inside an if statement. So it's rare sometimes if you only have the one thing. So that may be something teachers that you teach toward, or that you happen to know, or students you may be saying out loud, why do you have those brackets? I just tend to put them anyway, and that way if I go back and edit my code and add more of a sequence right here, I'm good with my brackets. So if you're talking out loud to me, I heard you. So here's the condition: if my age is greater than or equal to 16. Here's my else, except that in this case, you're going to see in a minute how it becomes more accurate as you go. Current age is 16, you can drive a car, and that would be true if it were 19 or 18 or 22 or whatever, if you wanted to. Now let's change the code a little bit and look at making it where we'll invoke our else situation. The age is not greater than or equal to 16, therefore it's going to bypass my if and go down to my else. And then you should get the proper statement. So what I'd like for you to do is pause the video and maybe add a few variables of your own or conditions of your own and create some test cases that will satisfy or actually test both the if condition or the else condition. And maybe you want to change the scenario altogether and, think about food or, winning a football game or, playing soccer or whatever. Make your own batch of code and then come back after you test it. Okay, hopefully you saw in your code that not only were you able to manipulate the variables and the condition of your if statement to invoke different paths of your program, but also that you're able to add more statements in and get your code to do a little bit more customizing. All right, so from today's topic, 3.3, the if-else, you do need to know that we're looking for, again, a Boolean true or a Boolean false, and based on that, it's going to pick which portions of the code execute. Now, I hope you join me in the next video for 3.3, where we go back to our Magpies, Bo, and JJ and see what they're talking about in our chatbot lab. See you there.
Sadly, no, we won't. We're not doing the chatbot lab. We're doing a different lab that I'll be introducing in a little while. A couple of lessons. What we've done so far, well, first, let's go over her statement about the if statement, you needing the block, the open curly brace and close curly brace. If you just have one statement, you are allowed to skip the curly brace and you just indent, and it does work. But it is encouraged that you use those curly braces, especially on the AP test, because it spaces things out. And when you're coding in real practice or real coding, you often start with just one thing and then you're adding extra things anyway. And it's best just to get in the habit of throwing those down. It's not that hard, and if you form a good habit, it's a good way to get started. So if we look at this code right here, what we can see, this is the code from the video, is what we can see is that the age was entered and stored in a variable, and then we use concatenation to print out the current age at that variable. Then we did a conditional test. This line right here is the Boolean or the conditional test, and we're saying if the age is greater than or equal to 16 and 14 is not, so that condition would be false, then we'd run this code. But since this condition is false, we don't run this you can learn to drive a car. But since we're using an else statement, we then use the other branch of code to solve that problem. So that's the way that code runs. And so the output of this code would be you are not old enough for a license yet. There are some really cool activities in CS Awesome 3.3 that I'm going to ask you to do. One of them is two of them are really challenging. This one where you have to get the code all lined up is pretty challenging. You basically have to make an even or odd program. I challenge you to get those blocks in the right order. And the last activity, the ultimate challenge, is nesting your if statements. Yes, I am really going to test your knowledge by asking you to make a binary search tree. Inside of CS Awesome, it provides you a example of how you would. First, it suggests you use this little flowchart like thing, and you're going to make an animal guessing program. It gives you the initial code. Here it is in Replit. You could type it here in Replit. You could put it in Replit here, your own Replit, or you could type it just right in here. But your challenge is to get these conditionals nested, which is really, really tough. Here's the starter code with just one, the dog, and this one adds one item to it, the elephant, and it also just gives a guess. So this is the base code you start from, and you can earn a better and better grade by extending the number of things you add to this number guessing game. If you just get the code to work, that's basic. If you just start with what we have, I'm just going to give you a basic. I ask you to at least add one animal, if not two animals, if not three animals to this program. Let me show you what I mean, and let's run this code so you can see it running. Oops, I was going to do it in Replit, but that's okay. It's running in an iframe. So, is it a mammal? What animal am I thinking? I'm going to think cat. So, is it a mammal? Yes, a cat is a mammal. Is it a pet? Yes, a cat is a pet. I guess dog. It was wrong. It was not a dog. So, I can now play it again. And if it is a dog, this time I will think dog. Is it a mammal? Yes. Is it a pet? Yes, I think dog. It got it right. So your challenge is going to be to add animals that it can correctly guess. So you'll notice that we have an if statement, and then we have this else statement. And making sure these branches are lined up and working correctly can be really, really tricky. So getting all this lined up, like this if goes with this else, and then this if is nested into this else. So what I'm going to encourage you to do to make that lining up a little clearer is go to Replit. And Replit, the actual version of Replit that we own, that we have, that you have, all I did is click on it in Replit, and you can code fold, which helps you keep track of where the code is going. See, that folded up that other if, and so now I can keep my if and else statements really, really clear. See how clear that is now? And that just works better. So I can also fold this else up if I want to, and then I can see where that code is folded up. Let's say I wanted to add like a cat to this. So I might want to say, is it a pet, yes or no? If it's yes, go here, I guess dog. If, click to play again. Else, I guess elephant. I could add cat. Where would be a good spot to add cat? I guess a good spot to add cat would be right here. I could add it in. How could I do that here? I need to else. Instead of saying elephant, I could say, I guess dog. Click to run again. Wait, is it a pet? Yes, I guess. Is it? I'm sorry, I gotta change this. Oops, gotta fork it. I'm glad I did that. I'm now forking it into my version. Any day now, Replit. Oh, it was there. I just had to click on it. I get is Is it a dog? Yes. Y or N. And then right here, I could do the classic answer equals scan is the variable we're using. Next line. And then I can type in an equals here if answer, and notice I'm using the dot equals. Yes. If it's yes, then system.out. Is it a dog? I got it. Click on run to play again. And then my else is I guess cat. Click to click on run to play again. Now I might have a bug here. It might go to, let's see if it works. Okay. Is it a mammal? Yes. Is it a pet? Yes. Is it a dog? Yes. I got it. Click to run again. Now let's see if we go the cat path. Is it a mammal? Yes. Is it a pet? Yes. Is it a dog? Nope. I guess cat. Perfect. Click to play again. So that's the process you're going to follow, and notice how if you go into this margin here right next to the number, you can do that code folding to kind of keep track of where your if statements are and help you navigate those changes. So if I just added this cat, I would already be up to developing. If I add one more, I'm up to proficient. If I add two more, then I'm up to advanced. And so that's the animal guesser game that I'm asking you to make. Oops, this should say 3 or more. Let me edit that so that's right. That's that animal guessing game I'm asking you to do, and nesting those if statements is really tricky. There's also a suggestion that you create this decision tree to kind of help you navigate that. Feel free to do that. So again, when you're done, there's a form in Google Classroom. Well, I've talked quite a bit, almost 20 minutes already. Wow. So please feel free to create this Guess an Animal game for the rest of the 40 minutes of your class time, and then fill in the form. Thanks, everyone.